Do I have a game? No. Humble Bundle. Purchases. Let's go to, let's see what's in July 2019. Really? I didn't take any of these? Okay. Zach, send me a private message with an email. You're getting a lot of these. Did I hit record? Yeah, I did hit record. Okay. Send an email. Control V. Control V. Send email. You just got a copy of Nary Tower of Sheeran. I don't know what that is, but it's yours now. I know you're excited. Nary Tower of Sheeran. I've got a copy of Moonlighter. I didn't know. I thought I had redeemed that. Do I have a copy of Moonlighter? No, I got to redeem that code. That's a good game. I'm not giving that one away. I also have a copy of Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, which I already own. Huh. Go figure. Okay. So I promised on Tuesday that I would get to write clubs. I did. So here we go. These are the good ones. These are the ones that made me smile. Or I went, that's good. Baymax saying, need a hug? Get it? La 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 la. I'm not sure who says this. Somebody in Alice in Wonderland. Sweet dreams, Alice. Sounds like a good attack. A different pull from a popular character. Let the storm rage on would be a good attack. Get it? See, it would be like Frozen. Ursula attacking you poor unfortunate souls, kind of on the nose, but I liked it. This one made me chuckle. Move faster. Get it? It's Mufasa. Move faster. But it's yeah. Anyway, I thought that was fun. Prepare to get tiggerized. That's a good and finally one that's not really a quote, but tells me exactly who that character is. And you broke my smolder would be a good like pain bark when something's taking damage. So those were the good ones. Can't wait to see your noir place names. And we got a lot to do. I thought I had plenty of time in the last class and I ran out of time. So let me go to people and make sure everybody's got a group. Our groups. Oh, no, a lot of people don't have groups. Okay. So let me share this. Let me show you what I'm looking at. Share this. Share. So our artists are full. We don't have a full gameplay. This is weird. Usually gameplay goes quickly. Um, I guess I haven't defined gameplay well enough, but usually these are the people who want to be game designers. This is the people who make up the systems. They can be tech oriented or kind of design oriented, um, where or just interested in this sort of thing. So, um, uh, gameplay people come up with activities. So it might be as simple as, uh, like I say, take a picture of yourself with an eggplant. I don't know. I'm making it up, um, and send it to this place. Um, and then if we get 5 of them, something decent happens. If we get 10, something good happens. If we get 15, something really good happens. That sort of thing. That's the simplest thing, but it might be codes or puzzles. People who like putting together codes and puzzles. um, I see my chat is happening. um, Rachel says she can swap elsewhere. She's currently in art, but she's fine. Maybe if somebody else wants to be in art, Rachel can go to gameplay. The other thing that gameplay people do, um, like in the past, we've had people make actual video games, right? So we've had like a Pac-Man clone made in, I think, Java or something. Um, and so they made a Pac-Man, and if you cleared, I don't know, 3 screens, then it gave you a URL of a place to go for the next clue, or it gave you the keyword to break a code, kind of thing. So that seems on one extreme of it. But in the past, we've had uh, jigsaw puzzles, um, which you can do virtually. We've had um, straight up code decryption. We've had, um, well, scavenger hunts, which you can do across um, the internet, kind of thing, where one year, this was a great evening where we were, it felt like a chase across the internet where we were uh, uh, on the trail of, I believe, the villain, as they went from forum to forum, and we were doing date and time stamps. And each place that they posted, they left a clue about what they were going to do next. So they left they left a forum message, and then said, I'm trying to pick a movie. It's between this movie or this movie. Um, and then if you went to those movies in IMDb, um, there were entries in their forums uh, asking questions about the movie that then led you to an Amazon review of a product, which led you to um, uh, I believe at the time it was a replay of a StarCraft match um, on YouTube, and basically we were trying to figure out where this person went next in an evening of surfing the internet. So that was all sorts of fun. Um, uh, recruiters. Um, Recruiters are kind of responsible for the first day, the rabbit hole. How do we get people to start playing, and how do we keep people playing? How do we onboard people? Um, and just and they're also responsible for um, kind of organizing all of you to play. I said this on Tuesday. Tech, we got 4 out of 5. and writers, usually writers fills right up. So again, maybe people just didn't join. I'm refreshing, but it looks like people still have not joined. Okay, so tech is now full, writers are full, gameplay is not full. You can see on the left side everybody who hasn't signed up yet. The other thing, I got two producers. Who are my producers? Emily and Michael. Great. Actually, I'm just in they're in the course of fairness. I want to play a video. Actually, I got to stop share and make sure that the video will actually play. Optimize, share. Okay, so
next week. But first, final guest here to wrap this marathon up, a friend of ours, webcomic Name Game. And this week it roles in the game industry, the producer. When James goes to talk at different schools, he periodically has people come up to him and say, I really want to be a producer. It doesn't happen that often, but it's a great thing to see. The industry needs more exceptional junior producers. In fact, it needs more devoted producers at all levels, because production failures are one of the most common things to sink projects, or turn crunch time into a death march. But, like I said, not many people come forward with that career in mind. Far more students are itching to be designers, and it's not that hard to understand why. Production hasn't been mythologized in popular culture quite the same way design has. And maybe that's not a bad thing, but it does mean that often even the people who want to become producers only have a vague and nebulous idea of what a producer does. And really, who can blame them? Even the industry doesn't have a clear consensus on what a producer does. Every studio treats them a little bit differently and breaks down their responsibilities in different ways. Heck, we even give them different titles. If you're entering the industry as a producer, your first job could be associate producer, junior producer, just plain old producer. But one thing remains constant in almost every studio out there. Being a producer ultimately means being a manager. But what does that mean? It's a question you have to be able to answer if you want to be one, but I often see aspiring producers struggle answering it. Being a manager doesn't mean being a boss. Being a manager means being a facilitator. As a producer, it is your job to make sure that as many people on your team are as effective as possible at all times. This can mean anything from helping people communicate more easily to picking up takeout when people are working late. As a producer, you have a little bit of a higher level view of the project than most of the developers, so it's your responsibility to help smooth over the parts of production that the folks in the trenches might not even see. For example, fairly early on in his career, James was thrown into a production role on a project. There was a hiccup in the art pipeline which was forcing the art team to routinely do a workaround, which wasted maybe 10 minutes of their time each day. It didn't seem like that big a deal, and everyone in the art team assumed it would take forever for the programmers to fix, so they didn't really want to bug him about it. But when you add it up, 10 minutes a day per person meant roughly 3 man-hours a day for this team, completely lost because of this pipeline problem. That adds up over time. So once James got a first-hand look at the crazy workaround the artists had to use just to do their job, he walked over to the programming section of the office and grabbed the nearest available programmer who was waiting for his code to compile. James described the problem and asked, how long would this take to fix? Turns out, almost no time at all. It took 4 lines of code and done. The guy had the problem isolated before his compiling job was even finished. James mentioned it to the programming lead, and the fix was implemented by the next day. Just like that, the art team was better able to do their job. But being a facilitator is actually the easiest part of a producer's job. To be a good producer requires a level of psychological discipline, firmness of spirit, and evenness of temper that comes naturally to very few people. Production, like anything else, is a discipline that you have to work at. The first thing a good producer must come to terms with is the limitations of their own abilities. As a producer, you're going to be the expert when it comes to scheduling, but that's about it. Art, programming, design, sound, you will never be the person who has the best understanding of the subject in the room. When you're having meetings with various departments, you've got to remember that the people around you dedicate every day of their lives to their specialization. You are simply there to listen, collate the data they give you, and relate that information to other departments as it applies to them. You are a connection point for the very specialized people you're working with. But you are not an expert yourself. It's very easy to assert your opinions as a producer, but it's an urge you must fight. You've got to train yourself to accept the fact that you aren't there to make development decisions, and honestly, you probably aren't the best qualified one to be making them anyway. Instead, learn to trust those around you. This can be especially hard for those who started in those other disciplines and became producers later. James will confess to this from experience. But even if you were a hotshot programmer or an artist before you became a producer, you gotta remember, the people on your team working in that field right now are a lot closer to their parts of the project than you can possibly be. They are focusing on that task every hour of every workday. And if you start trying to foist your ideas on the team, you'll undermine the authority of your leads and completely destroy their respect for you, which just leads to a deadly cycle of micromanaging. So, once you've learned to trust your team and learned to put your fate in their hands, after that comes the next remarkably difficult aspect of a producer's job. There are many styles of decision-making on teams, but the style I found most effective has the producers acting as the supreme court. The leads in each department make all the decisions, but the producer can veto any decision if they think it jeopardizes the project as a whole. But even this system is prone to abuse. A bad producer can easily start inventing reasons why a decision they don't like will push the schedule, or take vital resources away from another part of the project. To do this job well, you have to be introspective and self-aware enough to fight that temptation. Now this leads us to the last major point, and really the big reason why a producer's job is so important. Shipping a video game is a very, very hard thing. It doesn't matter if it's your first title working with a student team, or if you've got a budget somewhere north of $100 million. Shipping a video game is still a very hard thing. Fundamentally, the producer's job is to see that product ship, to see that everyone's hard work reaches an audience, and to see that the studio survives to soldier onto a new project. This means you have to be emotionally invested in seeing the product ship, but not in the product itself. Now, I know a lot of producers are going to balk at this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Everyone else on the team is very emotionally invested in the product. They will fight all day, every day, to make sure that that game is the best game it can possibly be. The producer's job is to be the counterweight. You must keep the project grounded in reality. Without producers, none of us would ever manage to ship a game, because no one has ever shipped a game they felt was 100% finished. We can always think of some small way we could make it better. Producers are the anchor that aligns the wild aspirations of the development team with the harsh realities of schedule and budget. This means a producer has to be bitterly honest with themselves. If time and budget require you to redline your favorite feature, you must be able to do so without hesitation. It'll kill you to do it, but you can't let your personal desires influence the decision. A producer can't allow themselves to blindly believe that the team might be able to get that awesome feature in, somehow, simply because it's a feature they love. This is one of the hardest parts of the job, and it's made even harder because it's a job no one will thank you for at the time. When you have to redline the feature you love, no one's going to see the discipline and the anguish it took to do so. All they'll see is that you just redlined their favorite feature. If you're lucky and you have a good team, everyone will thank you when launch day comes, but even that can be uncommon. Unfortunately, producing can be a pretty thankless job at times, which is a shame when you consider how crucial they are to the success of a project. If you happen to be watching this from a development studio right now, go give your producer a hug. They could probably use one. Now, before we wrap things up, here's one last piece of advice for the producers who are just starting out. It is totally okay if you don't always have the answers at your fingertips. Because you're the connection point between so many people, it's easy to feel like you have to have an answer immediately on the spot whenever someone asks something. It's not even a conscious thought. You feel responsible. You don't want it to look like you don't know what you're doing, especially around all these people who've been doing it so much longer than you, and you really want to be helpful. Easy mistake to make. Just remember these golden words. I'll look into that. Or, I'll think on it. These words are the producer's most powerful tools. No one will think less of you for taking the time to work through their problems, and in the end, you'll be able to give them a real solution instead of making up a suggestion on the spot. Being a bad producer is probably the easiest job in the game industry. Certainly the easiest to get away with not being fired. But being a good producer is probably the hardest. A producer has to love not games, but game development. You have to love helping a team function as a unit. You have to love solving all the quirky problems that come up with putting together an interactive experience, rather than just the experience itself. The best producers are genuinely passionate about seeing their team's hard work rewarded, and can be equally invested in that goal whether they're working on a dreadful licensed title or the game of their dreams. If I had to say what you should try to learn as you work your way towards being a producer, go learn everything you can about people, and also learn some humility. There is more authority in humility than in all the swagger and bluster in the world. Well, hopefully that has at least helped to clear up what a producer does. And seriously, go hug your producer. See you next week.
Okay. So let's stop that share. So that's a little bit of definition of what a producer does, and the producer is the jack of all trades, who makes sure. So what I always say is the designers and the artists and the tech people all want to keep working, and the producer is the one who gets the game to ship, right? So they're the one who says it needs to be done by this date. Whatever we have at that date is what we're going with, right? So if you can't make the thing that you're now telling me is essential by that date, we can't do that, right? That doesn't make the producer terribly popular usually, but the producer always also does things like the story of saving 10 minutes for every artist uh, uh, suddenly makes their life 10 times easier. So that does make them popular. So hug your producer uh, virtually. Does keep 6 feet. Um, well, we have producers. Um, we have two fine producers. I'm okay with that. Um, you're okay, Zach. I don't know where you are, but if you aren't somewhere yet, you should get somewhere. Um, also, um, I want to get leads done. Um, so let's see. I couldn't manage to do it in the other class. Let's see how we do here. Um, because not everybody wanted to be a lead. So I'm just going to quickly look at the groups and I'm going to share my uh, um, spreadsheet with you very quickly. Where is Zoom? Zoom is Zoom. Let's share this. Share. Okay. So I think I showed you this the other day. And also, let me get the chat back up. There it is. Okay. So we have two producers already. I gotta move crap around. Sorry if things are popping in and out. So our producers are in no particular order. And Michael.
Zach has volunteered to lead gameplay.
Okay. Zach. Which Zach? Zach Koval. I always go with the first person who volunteers because they're the most passionate.
And Rachel on lead art.
Google Doc on Discord lists people's preferred roles. Suyi, everybody's ahead of me. Who's lead art? Rachel.
Rachel.
I'm going to share this with everybody. So and allow you all to edit it. I need a lead writer and I need a lead tech. And we'll get to the rest in a bit. List people's preferred roles. Xavier is our lead writer. Xavier. And I need a lead tech. Who wants to be our fearless leader on tech? Anybody? Jared, thank you. Okay, so here's the thing. The characters are suggestions rather than restrictions. So for instance, one of the tech people wants to make a cool Android app, right? And that tech person is the goddess tech. Then the Android app slots in to the goddess role where that Android app helps the hero see why they're doing this all somehow, right? So it's more a way to fit everything together than at the same time the sidekick needs a cool website and the mentor tech person is the best at web programming. the mentor should make the Sidekick's website, right? I'm not going to say, oh, geez, you are mentor tech and you made the Sidekick's website. What are you doing? That's crazy. Bad grade. Um, it's more of a way to delineate responsibilities. Also, in the past, sometimes the way the schedule has been put together, they do like Thursday is mentor day, and we're going to meet the mentor, and everything on that Thursday is going to revolve around the mentor. So then we can say, oh, we have a team. We have a mentor writer, a mentor artist, a mentor gameplay, and a mentor tech. You guys are responsible for everything we're doing on Thursday, right? And you can put things together that way. I don't dictate how you organize. I think y'all should organize the way you feel best. Okay. But I want that structure there so that when in doubt, you can go back to the structure, and go, when everybody's standing around going, I don't know, what should we do? I don't know, what should we do? Then somebody just says, well, mentor group, you do this, right? And suddenly everybody knows who's doing it and what they're doing, right? So it's a way of giving you a fallback structure rather than dictating what you must do. Okay, so going back, the next thing I want to do is, and I'm gonna, I would like you all to put yourselves in, like the player recruiters. You don't have characters to deal with, so just list yourself there. But the rest of you, that at least gives you a way to say, I'm the Sidekick artist. So for the Sidekick's website, I will be doing all the DeviantArt drawings for their DeviantArt website. Okay, going back to this, and I want to switch over. Another thing that I have done for you is make ARG achievements. And ARG achievements are, again, suggestions, but also a fun way. Doesn't mean we still need to put our names again in this form with specific roles. Yeah, please. This is what I'll be checking. I'll put it up on Google Drive and share the link with you. Okay. It's not a big thing. It's just so that when it comes down to it, you all know what role you have. You are mentor tech, right? And then everybody knows, oh, mentor tech guy, or woman, whatever. So ARG achievements. This is a way of me. So you'll notice there's a bunch of blank spots. I've deleted a bunch of stuff that were kind of real life centric, and there's still stuff in there that when I was going over it at 3, I'm like, oh, I should have taken that out. So these are all, first section is media. These are all things to use, and I assign point values to it. If as a class, y'all get 150 achievement points out of this list, then y'all get a 5 points extra credit on this assignment. And I'll put that in at the end of the postmortem. Like, so if you get 100 on the postmortem, you actually get 105. See what I'm saying? I think it's out of 10, so you'd get 10.5 or something like that. Whatever. So again, these are suggestions. And if there's something on here, so I've left a room. So using Zoom, this is for making yours, and there's a little bit of working with theirs, but making yours, if you use Zoom as part of your ARG, you get 2 points. If you use Instagram as part of your ARG, you get 2 points. Twitch TV or Mixer, I think I made it 5 because that was unusual and hard when I put it on here. Console friend message, like on Xbox or PS4 or Switch, where suddenly one of the characters in the game comes to your Animal Crossing kind of thing. Wikipedia page for something, a public Google Doc, some other Web 3.0 site that Dean hasn't heard of. I admit I haven't heard of everything, but there's a lot of stuff in here. I think every ARG should have a dedicated domain name. It takes a bit of money to register it. A 3.0 site, it used to be Web 2.0 site, and I upgraded it to a 3.0 site. Some cool new website, or I guess cool app that didn't used to be part of the web. That's what a Web 3.0 thing is. It's me saying something I haven't heard of, like Discord or Slack or DeviantArt or Spotify or whatever. I've listed as many things as I can think of, but I leave room for more. Create a Facebook app. Can you even do that anymore? I don't even know. Create an iPhone app. This used to be worth 50 because I didn't think that Apple would approve an iPhone app in the time that we have. Like the time that it takes for somebody to program a mobile app and then submit it to Apple, and then it gets on the store even for free. It just it's not enough time between now and when the game is over. But then somebody last year, the year before, found some site in China that for a fee would get your app on the App Store because they had some industrial deal with Apple. So somebody did it last year. So it is possible, or the year before, I forget. An Android app, you could do that. I don't even know if there are Windows phones in the world anymore, which is why I made it worth 30. Because I think you'd have to provide a Windows phone somehow, because I don't think anybody has them. A personal message for a player. That's kind of a real life thing, but you could personalize something on the web. Phone call. Phones where players can call to get a recorded message. Phones where players can talk to a character live. Having a character call a player is different than having a player call them. And it means you're going to have to collect phone numbers if you want that one. Calling 10 players. A video with a single character or voice, which is essentially this, is one person sitting here talking to a webcam. A video to show a scripted event, which is somehow acted out and perhaps edited and put on YouTube or Vimeo or your favorite hosting service. Create and use I'm skipping ahead, live chat over instant messenger. Is that even a thing anymore? Or IRC, is that a thing? Whatever the current live chat thing is, I don't even know what that is. Snapchat, is that it? I don't know. Use GPS coordinates. you can still use them virtually, and then as numbered solution. Anything with numbers can be part of a puzzle, and then you can put those into Google Earth and go look on a map at something that you can get street view and see what's there, and that can be part of a solution. An email autoresponder, which those of you who played the locksmith game got. A chatbot or a Twitter bot, a newspaper ad. I believe WPI's newspaper is still online and operating. A TV commercial is kind of weird. The intention was via WPI's in-house TV system, but be creative. I don't know. Maybe there's a TV commercial that we can see on YouTube. Internet radio, WPI still has, I believe, an internet radio station. I don't know how you do broadcast radio, but I left it and it's worth a lot. Create a book. You can take pictures of that book. Digital painting, artifact thing. And again, all of these things you would then take pictures of and have people find the pictures of. Each ARG should create a safe space for the players to talk in, an online cooperative event of some sort where perhaps everybody has to push a button at the same time. There was a very famous ARG called Why So Serious for the Dark Knight movie, and Rachel is a licensed ham radio operator.
Hey, Rachel. Sorry.
Awesome. I love odd and weird talents. Not that it's odd or weird, but lesser known talents of our students. The Dark Knight ARG started with a website that was entirely green, and every time a unique IP went there, 1 pixel was removed from that green screen. So it became this, like, I could go back over and over again, and as long as I was coming from the same IP, nothing would happen except for that 1 pixel. But as more people found the place, more pixels were removed, and it became this Gotham newspaper website. So that was an online cooperative event where people had to go out and find other people with unique IPs to go to this website. Give players cool prizes, create a Java game, Flash HTML5 Unity browser game. I don't know about Flash games anymore. And so these are all things that will get you points. People, have 5 unique players contribute to your ARG. I think you can do that. 10, 20. 20 starts getting hard. 50 gets really hard because there are 23 people in the other class. You can possibly get 20 unique players. 50, you're going to have to recruit from outside the other class. I would expect you to recruit from outside the other class anyway. Please, please, please. I will recruit from alums for both the ARGs and say, come play the ARGs. Okay, 10 players who aren't in the other group, 20 players who aren't in the other group. Someone who isn't in the other class, in either class, finishes your ARG first. That's fun. That has happened. Usually it's members of the Science Fiction Society who get into this. Have users create stuff for your ARG. Have users create a physical object that they then take pictures of and put somewhere. Get 1 player from outside the state. That state is Massachusetts. I don't think that'll be hard because people in the other class are homebound all over. 5 players from outside the state, probably not hard either. 10 players, I left it high. Might happen. 1 player from outside the country. There is 1 person in the other class who is currently in China. If you can get them to play, you get 5 points. And then finally, negative achievements. These are bad things. Don't do them. Get me fired. You will not get your extra credit if you get me fired. Yes, you have to. Stanley, should we have a terms and conditions? Yes, it is a part of the other assignment that you must have a disclaimer saying that this is this is not a real thing. This is a game. Get Dean scolded by the administration. That has happened. That class did not get their 5 points. And let me be clear, this is not a competition between the 2 classes here. If you get 150 points, you get 5 extra points. If they get 150 of these points, they get 5 extra points. So you could both get me scolded by the administration, and neither of you would get the extra 5 points. This used to be worth less, and one year they were like, we're 50 points over where we needed to be to get the 5 points. We can get Dean scolded once. So I upped it by 10, by 100 actually. Players attempt collusion. Collusion is when you're stuck on their ARG, playing their ARG, and you happen to know somebody in that class, as happens. You're chatting about other things. You're playing online, you're Call of Duty buddies or whatever, and you say, hey, we're all stuck on this thing. Any help? Any help, man? At that point, that other person, and I'm going to tell you to do the same, because they could do this same thing to you. Hey, man, we're stuck on your thing. What should we do? At that point, I have, for 15 years, I have tried to revive this phrase. I just slapped the thing and the dog is barking. It is a phrase from World War II. You should say loudly or in all caps, if you're online typing, go pound sand. It just means get stuffed, go away. But nobody says it anymore, and I am bringing it back. So if you ever get to say go pound sand to somebody, please screenshot it and send it to me, and it'll make me happy. Every once in a while, I'm at a conference or something, and I hear go pound sand, and I see that it's an alum, and then a discussion ensues about what the hell does that mean. And Jared says that his dad says it all the time. Good. I'm bringing it back. So don't collude with each other. And this is a related thing. Looking behind the curtain, these games are not an excuse to cyber stalk the people in the other class. Okay, so if you are, and vice versa, you should not make yourself part of the game, right? So, for instance, if you're on the tech team and it's your job to register the domain name, right? And it costs a little extra to make it anonymous, and you don't have the money to make it anonymous, so your name and address is registered, and then they're just trying to figure out stuff, so they do who is on that domain, and they get your personal information, your address and your name. I've told them, and I will tell you, that's the point where you should say, I have seen behind the curtain, and you should let that curtain drop, and you should slowly back away, because that is not part of the game. Please don't dox each other. Please don't go calling each other, uh, calling other people in the class that you don't know. Um, don't Certainly don't go around to their place of where they live. Um, just leave it alone. And when you're designing your game, there should be all your characters should be fictional, not you. Okay. Because in the past, like for instance, um, one group made one guy was really into playing StarCraft esport competitively. StarCraft 1, this was a long time ago. And they actually had a story beat that was in the chat of StarCraft match. And he registered it. It was under his name because he was kind of a competitive StarCraft player, and they followed it to this competitive StarCraft match. The players found it, saw that one of the players was someone from the other class, and did not look at it because that was behind the curtain. That was his personal life. So they made the mistake of making that part of the game. So don't make it part of the game, and don't go cyber stalking each other. Okay, moving on. No zombies, no ninjas, no Dacre or Chartwell's poisoning. Please don't manufacture false information about the current pandemic. Don't ask players to do something illegal. Don't ask them to do something dangerous. Don't be a jerk. Don't ban players from your forum for, say, talking amongst themselves about something that interests them. It's all about building community, and part of that is talking to each other about stuff uh, uh, that's just interesting or fun, while other people are trying to figure out stuff, or while their gears are turning. Don't go over to the other forum and be a jerk and get banned. This has happened where a player who was really good at puzzles would just go in the other forum and say, I am crushing your puzzles. And it was very behind the curtain stuff. And he would just berate them about how easy their puzzles were. And they finally said, we can't get anything done. And they banned him. And so I took 5 points away from their ARG. Don't publicly post a broken puzzle. You will lose your audience so quickly. This happened one year where they posted a puzzle, and you had to enter the answer on a form, and that form was broken, so the correct answer returned no, sorry, try again. And they had it fixed within 15 minutes, but the players solved it in 10 and put the correct answer in, and were told that it was the incorrect answer. And then they spent 4 more hours trying to find a different answer, until a character finally said, why don't you try the first thing you tried again? And then they put it in and it worked. They were very angry, those players, and they didn't want to play anymore. So you don't want to do that. Finally, so these are the achievements. Finally, I want to give you a seed. This is something that's real, that you that has to be in your ARG somewhere. It can be the centerpiece of your ARG, or it can be a side thing that, say, one of your characters is very interested in. And the thing I've chosen for you, I change it every year, and I give different ones to each class, is the Coddingsley Fairies. These are a series of pictures of little girls with fairies that proved the existence of fairies. Coddingsley Fairies. Copy paste it. Go look it up. Do some research. See how you can work it into your story. Have fun with it. Maybe the fairies have come back. Maybe there are new pictures of real fairies. Maybe the descendants of the two little girls are somehow part of your story. Go play with it. Okay. I saw the Discord blow up on Tuesday or Wednesday with talk, and especially in the writing group, about your ARG. Go talk amongst yourselves. Have meetings in your various groups. I will put up the spreadsheet just so everybody knows, and so I know what everybody's job is. And we'll talk more tomorrow. We're going to learn how to do breakout groups in Zoom. I know. It's very exciting. More Zoom. Yeah. Okay, so that's all I have. If you haven't gotten a job yet, get a job. Put yourself in. If you're watching this on YouTube, go to Canvas and get yourself a job. Do we have to use them as a clue, or can it be a plot element? Either or, Stanley. However you want. They just have to be in there somewhere. Have fun with it. Okay, I am stopping recording.